All right, here is our last section, and this will be the shortest because we're just going to focus on the Mughals since we already talked about commonalities and the fall of these different Islamic empires. So the Mughal Empire is contained or is present in um, starts in northern India and then spreads through through the central subcontinent. And so when we say India, we're thinking not only of India today, but also Pakistan, Afghanistan. All right. So the Mughal Empire got its name. Mughal is Persian for Mongol. So the Zahir al-Din Muhammad, or otherwise known as Babur the Tiger, I just love that name. He was from the Shanghai Tai Khanate, an old Mongol Khanate. And he moved down in Central Asia, and he moved down south into North India to plunder Hindu temples. And he brought back all of that rich stuff into the north, but then his descendants decided to hang around and they used gunpowder to very effectively um, control the territory militarily. Um, they because people in local people were Hindu, their power was filtered through the zamindars, which we'll talk about in just a moment. Under Akbar the Great, or Akbar actually means great, so that if you say Akbar the Great, you're kind of saying the Great the Great. So under Akbar, the empire reached its height, and they were pretty religiously tolerant, and the Mughals were also did make people pay the jizya, although Akbar abolished it for a time. He won the fear and respect of the people after throwing out Adam Khan, who was the leader of his army, and he threw him out the window twice, the second time to make sure he was dead. So he was not to be messed with, and he didn't appreciate people trying to have a coup. He created a very centralized government, although not quite as centralized as, for example, the Safavids. And he was mostly religiously tolerant, although he did destroy some Hindu villages because they rose against him. As part of this, he promoted what's called the Divine Faith, which is not Sikhism, but is a combination of Hinduism and Buddhism. And he also accepted Jesuits into his court, although he didn't really appreciate the fact that they were so exclusive, meaning like that you could only practice Christianity. He thought that that was not going to promote the faith at all. He expanded or centralized the empire, and then the expansion through the south was done by Aurangzeb, which again, there's a really good crash course on Aurangzeb if you want to watch that. But he typically is seen as like a negative um, a negative leader. He is Shah Jahan's son, and he was very intolerant of Hinduism. He destroyed Hindu temples and encouraged people to convert to Islam, and that was seen as really wrecking the fragile stability that had been established between Hindus and Muslims. Although there were tensions between Hindus and Muslims this entire time. So um, there's been some revision on his legacy. Like I said earlier, the Muslim Mughals could not have governed without local support from the zamindars. These were landowners who collected taxes and were responsible for laborers for the Mughals, and also they were also known as Rajas or Maharajas, and they were the basically local princes who were doing a lot of the administration for the Mughals. So, zamindars, administrators, and local princes. There were other people under the Mughals' rule besides just Hindus. There were also Jains, Zoroastrians, Christians, and Sikhs. One really interesting type of Mughal art, which you can see a lot of around the world, around in India, but also in Britain, are Mughal miniatures. These are very small paintings. As you know, it was not, for a long time in Islam, it wasn't really considered, it was considered bad to have human forms, but the Mughals got around that by having teeny tiny, very intricate, like almost amazingly intricate um, forms and pictures. So here is actually Babur the tiger receiving courtiers. So he's receiving people in his court. I think I like this picture because the people are obviously from different areas around the world. If you look at how they're depicted with their hats and their skin colors and their outfits, and you can see the very intricate geometric designs and the floral designs too. And the combination is just really exquisite. There are many, many Mughal miniatures on display in the British Museum right now. All right, and that is all we have on the Mughals except for the Taj Mahal, which we did talk about in class. Oops. And I'm having trouble finding right now, so just hold on one moment. All right, there it is. So the Taj Mahal was built by Shah Jahan for his wife Mumtaz Mahal, and it's a mausoleum for her. And it is considered one of the seven wonders of the world. It shows the great wealth that the Mughals had and also the flourishing of architecture. And it is quite magnificent, made of white marble and with inlaid stones. And we will look at it. Well, we did look at it more, and will in the future look at it um, more in class. So that is the Mughals, very briefly.